I've got an awesome guest. He's an expert in this space of notes, and I am so excited to introduce him today. And so before we get going, I just want to share. We're a couple minutes in the hour, so I think it's about time. Welcome everybody. I recognize some of those names on there. Welcome from Georgia. I saw Dallas in there. I saw Utah in there. Welcome everybody. So, before we get going, as always, I wanted to share, our typical disclaimers. We're not financial advisors, not attorneys, not CPAs. I will say, though, collectively, Eddie and I've got a whole lifetime of education in both our spaces, and so really excited to introduce Eddie today. But before I do so, this series we talked about every other Tuesday, we've been doing for almost 2 years now, and this has come about because of you. Most of you are clients of ours. Most of you work with us at Horizon Trust Company. Some of you have not yet had the privilege yet to work with us, and vice versa, us with you. And so, welcome to you as well. The goal here is to educate. We want to bring on, and you guys have seen, I almost every other week I am talking about some of the fundamentals of self-directing and how you can unlock and use your retirement account in the alternative asset space. And then the other Tuesdays, I have guests on that talk about different asset classes. And so again, before I introduce Eddie, I just want to share for you newbies. Self-directing is something near and dear to my heart because it's how I got my first real estate deal when I was 23. Could not find a bank loan to lend me any money. Learned about this concept. Someone up on stage was teaching it, and I just happened at 23 to be more into money than I was into probably, drinking beers and hanging out with the buddies. I was like, how am I going to, make myself in this world? And so I learned about this subject early on in my career, doubled down on it for 10, 12 years, and then started a trust company 15 years ago, teaching thousands of individuals every year on how to unlock, use your IRA or your old 401k, get it set up with a company like ours at Horizon Trust to then start taking action and investing in asset classes that you might like and understand better. So that being said, if you're new, welcome. If you've been around for a little bit and you've heard different subjects, this is a new one. I've never had Eddie on before, and so super delighted and excited to have him here. He's done. He's got something called the NoteSchool, and he's been in this business for over, I think, is it 40 years? Is that fair to say? I mean, so you started when I started, I assume, and maybe even before I started, and he understands the note world better than anyone I've ever met, and that's saying a lot, frankly, because I've been around a lot of events in my career of 23 years now, and I've never heard anyone speak so simply, but also get so deep when needed about this world of notes. And this is a subject that if you ever wondered about how to use your IRA in the note world or why you might want to use your IRA in the note world, this is absolutely for you. So I'm actually going to turn the time over to Eddie, and honored to have you here, Eddie. Thank you for being here, Eddie, and let him kind of do a little presentation. Then we're going to leave plenty of time for question and answers, as we always do at the end of the towards the end of the hour with Claudia as well. So, Eddie, welcome. Thanks for being here. Again, I've seen you speak all over. I know you got tens of thousands of maybe more investors that have worked with you, and you've taught in your school and notes. And so I'll let you take it from here, Eddie.
All right. Thank you, Greg. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I am so thrilled to be here, guys. And let me pop up and share my screen here. And so we're going to use these PowerPoints in this presentation today to really kind of take us through a journey. And part of this journey is going to be a little bit different kind of thinking. I've asked this, Greg, to thousands of audiences, like literally thousands of audiences over 25 years of having NoteSchool. And the question is, if everything was equal, would you rather be a landlord or the bank?
Easy.
And shockingly, in all of these audiences, which are typically full of a room full of real estate investors, same places I've seen you at, Greg,
Yeah.
the answer is I'd rather be the bank. So we're going to talk today about being the bank, and we're going to talk about market timing and why some things might not be the same as they were. And so a lot of things, they say the only thing constant is change, right? So actually, I started in this industry in 1980. I was 20 years old. I stumbled in this industry. I wasn't strategic like Greg. I stumbled in this industry because I met what later became my wife's father. And we weren't even dating at the time. And this gentleman told me that what I was learning to do was a lot better than wiping sweat. Now that's kind of gross in a way, but you get the point, right? And it's just been one step at a time, one chapter at a time. I have closed and bought over 50,000 notes at this point. So we are deeply involved in the note business. I'm not just a guru that teaches it where if you use Claude today and you ask people that buy seller finance notes, I'm pretty sure Claude will tell you that Colonial Funding Group, my company, is the number one buyer in the United States. So that is a truth today, not 10 years ago or whatever. We may have been the biggest back then too, but we certainly haven't lost our love of doing it. And I believe that we've now entered into what I call the perfect storm. And the reason it's the perfect storm is because, quite honestly, is because of inflation. And inflation has changed real estate math a lot, and it's changed how people look at, the result of their investment. So let's go back in history just a little bit. So let's take the typical, most common asset that small investors own. The most common asset by far is a single family house. Now, I'm not saying everybody on here has had rent houses, but I bet you a lot of you have. And all of us have friends that have. So if it wasn't us, it was our next door neighbor or our best friend or the guy we play pickleball with, right? It's that. We all know the landlord story. And landlording really was a pretty good deal back in 2018. You could buy a rental property in most parts of the country and pay cash for it. And it would make about it without a mortgage, and you could make about 8% a year. Plus, it would go up in value, and you'd get the tax benefits and blah 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 blah. And it was a good deal. And so rentals were there as it's had a really good day, and it's been really good to people. But let's do a comparison of 2018 versus today. So 2018, as we said, they call it the cap rate, right? It stands for capitalization rate. It simply means if you paid cash for a property, what is your net income per year on that investment? So easy math, if you bought a $200,000 house, it makes $16,000 a year, right? And Greg, I know you come from a commercial real estate background, and every commercial property in the world operates on this theory of this cap rate, right? That is how it works.
Right.
Today, though, that same property makes a 4 cap.
Yeah.
Well, Eddie, there's a whole bunch of investments you could do that are totally passive and totally whatever and make more than a 4 cap. Yes, I know. Now, here's the good news. Through the virus, your house went up in value. Here's the bad news. You're not earning any money on the equity in your house. Now, if you deal with a family office level operator, which I know Greg does, their biggest litmus test is what is my return on my equity? If they feel like whatever they have equity in, if it's not growing, then all of a sudden their inflation is going to eat up their money. It's going to eat up this big opportunity they had. And I don't care if you're the smallest investor or the biggest investor, if you're not making anything on your equity, it causes you to challenge this thought a little bit. Am I doing the right thing at the right time? So, what happened and what caused this market condition? And basically, it was called inflation. The virus changed the game. Rents did go up. Rents went up. In most cases, rents have settled back down. They're not as robust as they were. Now, once again, you may be in a micro market, and what I may be saying may not exactly be your story, but this is a true nationwide story. By the way, I deal with a number of fractional CFOs in this industry, many of which Greg would know exactly, like, the Marcus Kriglers, the David Richters, the Casey Quinns. Like, I deal with a number of people that do the books for many hundreds or thousands of top level real estate investors. They are the ones that gave me this math. So I didn't just go, I didn't ask Claude for this math. I asked
No,
real
this is
guys
this
with
is real math. This
real math.
I see it. Yeah.
And so what happened is expenses went up about 2.5 times greater than rents went up. And inflation drank your milkshake. And it's just a market condition. In being in this industry for 46 years, I can tell you something. There is no one thing that is perfect for 15 straight years. Every investment strategy I've ever seen of any kind, including notes, there is no absolute one thing that is always perfect all the time. There's dips and valleys, and this rental property thing, the problem that concerns people is when does this cash flow change? Well, if rents have kind of hit a glass ceiling, and we kind of see that, then that means expenses would have to drastically drop in order for the cash flow rental model to change. So you can look in your crystal ball and say, well, I think the expenses are going to drop on everything, and groceries are going to be half the cost that they were, and all that. And if that's true, then that could change what I'm saying. But if it's not true, it makes you rethink it.
Right.
Let me ask you a question. Who makes more money today on a rental? The landlord or the bank? Well, if the bank is loaning you money at 6.5% and the cap rate on your rental is 4, I'm just going to tell you that's not good math.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about kind of going through a different door. So I've been a contrarian in this industry for most of my career because I don't do what most people do. And I know thousands of real estate investors, and I'm involved in several top level real estate masterminds, and I'm kind of the note guy in those audiences. And the reason I've learned to do it is that sometimes it's really good to be the note guy because always being the bank is always kind of a good thing. But sometimes it's really good to be the bank. And so there's not a lot of competition. How many of you know 20 note buyers? I bet you most of you know 20 real estate investors. But I would challenge you to say that most of you don't know 20 people that buy notes. In fact, most of you don't even know 5. Some of you don't even know 1. So this isn't it. There's not the competition. You're not having to go fight off everybody to go make this work. This was a guy. In fact, he was formerly in the mastermind that one of the ones that Greg and I are in called Boardroom, and he was a ninja house buyer. He lived in Florida. He operated in Birmingham, Alabama, and when he showed up, he was kind of a broken man. Now, I'm not saying every landlord feels this way. I'm saying he felt this way.
Well, there's a lot that feel this way right now.
And he was a success. He was a top flyer. And he'd built a transactional business. He had built a big rental portfolio, and he was doing great. And he showed up and he says, Eddie, I've got to change because what I'm doing isn't working because the math has changed in the industry. And so he was kind of a frustrated landlord. And he said, I feel like I'm just trading time for money. In other words, there's ways to make wealth and there's ways to make a living out of your business. You got to be careful that when you're investing, and particularly your retirement money, this isn't your day job. This is just your investment side of the business. So I'm gonna run an analysis right now, and I'm gonna show you some math. And that's considered a little dangerous sometimes in this kind of presentation, but I think you're going to get the purpose and why, right? So you have this rent house. The average rent in the United States is $1,828, right? So we picked a normal average deal. Yours may be higher, yours may be a little lower. $1,800 rent on that house, kind of anywhere America, right? But here's the problem. Half of your money goes out the door in expenses. So while you got $1,800, it's not your $1,800 to keep, right? You got all the expenses, the taxes, the insurance, all the things that we know about. the roofer, the plumber, the all this probably doesn't go out your door at the end of every month or end of every quarter, but probably an average over 3 years. Statistics tell me over and over this 50% rule is really true, which means you're netting 900 bucks. Now, this is assuming you don't have a mortgage, right? If you have a mortgage, your cash flow went way less, right? So let's just call this the baseline. This is your break even line, is what you're netting in profit. Not money you got to keep for a moment and then pay it back out. It's what you keep, right? But if you seller finance this same property, you said, no, 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 I don't want to be the landlord anymore. I simply want to be the bank. Guess what? Your profit line starts at the break even line. How many of you send your invoices to your banker or your mortgage company for your all the things for I'm not saying that they're keeping an escrow account. I'm saying they literally are paying your expenses, taxes, insurance, the plumber, the roofer. Wait a minute. If you got a banker that does that, would you give Greg and I their name? Because we want that banker. Because that banker doesn't exist, right? And when you look at the difference, you're arguing about $900 here and $2,000 here on the exact same house. Now, we call this the rental conversion program. And we work with real estate investors around the country, big and small, and help them with a gigantic industry problem. And I'll bet you my best pair of Texas cowboy boots, I live in Texas, that if we modeled a rent house that you might own in your self-directed retirement account, you might be shocked how you could change your cash flow. And so this may not be your self-directed account. It may be other things. It may be just a real estate investor friend that you have. But I'm just saying this is the normal math that we literally see every day on this. And so I have a big campaign kind of helping real estate investors that want to change. And not everybody wants to change, but real estate investors that want to change, there is some possibilities today that the math wasn't the same a few years ago. So the market timing is a big deal. And yeah, it's a lot more money. So we call this the banker's playbook. It's for capital ready investors. And obviously we're speaking to you in a self-directed retirement account. So you're sitting there with some money in your retirement account and you say, what is the smartest thing to invest in today? And one of the possibilities is looking at reanalyzing your rental property. By the way, there's all kind of clear strategies that we show people how to do. What if I have an underlying debt? How can I get to some money to pay that off? We've got that all mapped out. It's really kind of a cool program. We call it our rental conversion program. Now, this is my note buying team. This isn't necessarily NoteSchool that does this, but NoteSchool teaches people how to go do it. Let's just do a kind of a balanced scenario, right? You got rentals on one side and notes on the other. You got a rent house. Even if you have a property manager, most everybody is going to affirm it's active management. You don't just turn them loose and say whatever, right? And and management and kind of the headaches, the tenants and toilets as they call it, it's a factor, right? The margins have gotten tight. So rentals, the cash flow in rentals, if you kind of see the Facebook pages I see every day, most people are kind of saying like there is rental, the idea of cash flow and rentals is not really a thing anymore, which is kind of not good, right? And then the equity held in the property, it's trapped. Your equity's trapped. And it's kind of like buying a stock. The stock went up in value, but do you get a check for when it went up in value? You get paid when? Only when you sell it, right?
Mm-hmm.
This kind of thing with silver and gold too, right? It's all cool and all good that it pops up. If you pick the market timing perfectly, you're a genius. But otherwise, you like an investment that's going to pay you every month for what it does or every quarter or whatever that is. So look at notes. Now we're buying first mortgages. These aren't wraps. These aren't seconds. If you buy a wrap, what we do in the closing process is pay off the underlying mortgage. So these end up being real first mortgages on property. It's not seconds. It's not chancy stuff. This is very high percent chance of success type mortgages. It's less stress. I tell people you can own 1,000 notes or 55 rentals. I mean, it's a lot less stress, a lot less aggravation, more cash flow. Usually about 2.5 times is the average, right? And then better cushion. And we'll talk about what the cushion means, but when you're a lender, you have a cushion. Think about your personal home. What about your personal home? What if your personal home, what if we look at your scenario? Do you owe the same amount of money on your house that their house is worth? Now you're going, no, no, Eddie, I owe this and my house is worth this. Well, guess what? That difference is a cushion that the bank has. God forbid something goes wrong. So there's a cushion with mortgages that doesn't really exist with rentals, right? If a tenant tears up a house, you're usually having to pull out the checkbook, right? So we're going to talk about seller financing today because this is the growth market. This is the opportunity market. Seller financing is growing right now. Traditional lending is declining. So we're in an upbeat market that more people are doing this and wanting to know how. So people, what do people like about notes? What does it mean to actually buy notes? So first of all, when you hear the word note, we're buying seller finance notes. It's where the seller has decided not only to sell his property, but he's going to be the bank. You've seen the car industry do it forever, right? Buy here, pay here, they call it, right? So the car company is also the bank when they sell it. You're buying first mortgages. People call it buying paper. They call it being the bank. They call it buying notes. So if I use any of these terms, it's all kind of the same thing. You are not the landlord. You're the bank on a property. Think in terms of you are on a somebody else's property what the bank is for you on your personal house if you have a mortgage, right? They control things, but behind the scenes, and they don't have to get involved
Can
in
I
the.
can I give one just to help everyone out as well? Eddie, so in this example, let's say I've got a home I want to sell for $200,000 and you want to buy it. And to get the $200,000, I might do seller finance, which means I will say, "Hey Eddie, I'll sell it to you for 200, but I'm going to carry back. I'm going to hold the paper for 150,000, right?" So then I would then own the note, the paper, and you'd own the property, the rental property, getting the smaller rate of return. But I keep the note of $150,000 getting monthly payments, correct?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And we've developed I bought 50,000 such notes, and so we've developed a lot of processes and systems of how to do it correctly and safely. What I would say is kind of a risk blueprint that we've established. So we show people how to be the bank in a way that it becomes easy for them to do it. That's our concept.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so let's talk about the bridge, the safe bridge over the gap. Let's say that you don't have a rental. How do you go pick the best thing in the market to buy today? And I would say, I feel like the hot hand right now are notes, right? You can earn a lot better return, a lot less aggravation, a lot less risk of something going wrong today with a note, or the right note, a good note than other things. And it's meaningful because you're making money while you sleep. Warren Buffett said if you don't learn how to make money while you sleep, you'll work until you die. That's kind of a truth, right? This is my family. And the reason I'm showing you this is not that, oh, look at Eddie's got the grandkids out pictures. Like, no, it's about legacy because it's what my wife and I has accomplished. So there's Martha in the little gray uh, pickleball suit or whatever that is. But that's Martha, my wife. We'll be married 44 years this July.
Wow.
And we have 3 kids, and you can see we got growing. By the way, we got 2 in the oven, by the way, 2 more coming. And but Martha and I started out with the idea of legacy and not starting out with $1 billion. What we started out with was $1 billion idea, right? And there are ways to really grow your wealth by the path that you pick and the way you stack the money to do it. And that's what I'm going to give you an example of today. So let me ask you a question. If you've ever owned a house or houses, many, you've probably gotten a letter in the mail and it says your loan's been sold. So buying and selling mortgages is not uncommon. It is super common. And so it's not what we're teaching to do is like nobody's ever heard of this. It is the gold standard in the mortgage banking world. So here's a case study. This house There's a first mortgage on this house, exactly what you're talking about, Greg. This house is worth 240,000 bucks, but the loan balance is 160, right? It's a 9% note, which is kind of typical for seller financing. Typically, the interest rate might be a little above the, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac rates. It's a 20-year note and their payment's 1,400 bucks a month. Okay. Now, what this note produces is a cash flow. For 20 years, that note's going to pay 1,400 bucks a month. But Martha buys this note in one of our self-directed retirement accounts, or a Coverdell educational account, or a health savings account. Like all of that we've done excessively for us and our family. She buys it, they owe 160, but the interest rate is 9%. Martha decides, like, okay, I want to buy it at a slight discount because I want to earn a little more than 9% on my money. So the way you do that is you pay less than the full amount of the note. I bought 50,000 discounted notes. So trust me, it's a real market condition, right? But this is a normal case study. There's nothing dramatic about this math. This is boilerplate every day in our business. This isn't the extreme wild case study. It's a one in a million. This is the norm. So she buys this note. The house is worth 240,000. Are you feeling pretty good about this? You paid 140 for the note, first mortgage, and the house is worth 240. Now, we were not wanting anything to go wrong, and the chances of it going wrong statistically are very low based on the underwriting that we've done. But you have a cushion. Something goes bad because the house is worth 240 and Martha have invested 140, and that means there's a $100,000 cushion between what she paid for the first mortgage and something going wrong. So what's the odds that Martha's going to invest in this with some of our retirement money or our kids or our grandkids, and all of a sudden, bomb, we're going to go lose all our money? What's the odds?
Low.
Well, dang low, Greg, right?
Yep.
So cushion matters in investments, and this is a baked-in scenario that we teach in this business. So here's the ultimate reason anybody owns any cash flowing investments. What do we call it? Mailbox money, right? Mailbox money over time, and then the mailbox starts growing, right? And over time, this investment of 140,000 turns into 345,000. And I would bet that there's a bunch of you on the call today that if you had a bunch of 140,000s, that buying these first mortgages would look like a pretty good business. So one of the ways that we help people with retirement accounts is just the idea of buying mortgages versus buying property, or investing in syndications, or doing something else. Right? Honestly, where you have less control, you own the first mortgage, you got full control. So this really is a good strategy, and it's hard to beat this math today in today's economy. But some of you are going to say, wah, wah, I don't have 10 140,000s, or my grandkids don't, or my kids don't in their retirement account. And Martha and I were in that identical situation. In fact, when we did this initially, we literally had less than $50,000 in a Roth IRA account. So we did put it in a Roth account, but we didn't have the 140,000. And so and our kids sure didn't have 140,000, and our grandkids sure didn't have 140,000. But it didn't stop us from doing the deal. And the reason is because we found out a strategy that we become very successful at in this industry. I've done this strategy literally in my company or in my retirement accounts literally more than 20,000 times. So it's something that we really kind of perfected, and it's a leveraging strategy, and it can be done with retirement accounts, right? What happens is your retirement account buys the entire note. And this is what Martha has done all throughout our family legacy. She buys the entire note, and then she turns around and she sells the first payments. And those first payments are far more valuable than the payments that are due way out in the future. So she sells the payments and then she keeps part of the payments, right? You take one note and you create a sell and you sell those, and this is a standard within our industry. It's called a partial. There's special servicers, there's special contracts, but we've done it like a lot for years. It's the coolest trick I've ever seen in note buying. So Martha buys this note, the same note you've seen, but now let's split the money up. Martha sells 12 years of that note for $139,000 to some other funding source. It could be a bank, it could be an insurance company, it could be a private investor. Like there's various ways that you do this. Now Martha paid 140,000, right? She sells the front payments for 139. How much does Martha have left? Yeah, $1,000, and she owns 8 years at 1439 per month. That's about $138,000 for $1,000 investment. Some of the engineer types, Greg, will ask me, "Oh, Eddie, what is the yield?" And of course, I can calculate the yield, but I tell them it's enough
It's enough.
because
So
when you
what is the person that sold it or that bought it for 139? What do they make in that 12
they
years?
make 7%.
Got it.
They
Okay.
make a 7% return. So there's no funny math in this. This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a boilerplate deal that we have done, I would say at this point, countless times. And what we realized is that as parents and as people that are kind of the leadership of your family, we're all looking for something that like lets us build legacy, right? And this was a way that Martha and I could take an industry trick that we fully understood and we could go take this, and this is how we built legacy for our family. And then we started telling people about it. And that was even after we had NoteSchool. People are like, if you don't teach that, you come on, Eddie, you got to teach us this. And of course, this is, as you know, Greg, it's something that we've done a lot. And and the more somebody goes down the road in NoteSchool, the more we've built done for you things to kind of help people with the back office things that are kind of cumbersome for them to go do. So we've tried to help them with some back office things as they progress down the road to kind of make it easier to apply the concept, but get it done where they don't have to go be everything themselves. So let's look at kind of a diagram here. Martha is the deal architect. Martha is the deal maker. She's got a retirement account. It may be hers, it may be our kids or our grandkids. There's a note seller. Now, in this case, I'm going to be honest with you, Colonial probably has the connections with somebody that owns a note. We bought 50,000. We're fairly well known in the business. And a lot of students say, hey, I want to be like Martha. And we do help them find notes as they progress down the road with us, right? So Martha buys this note, and what she now gets, it cost $140,000. What she now gets is a cash flow, a 20-year cash flow. Then she has an investor that's going to buy the partial. Now, it could be a passive investor, which is somebody that wants a 7% return. They want their money today, Greg, and they don't want any phone calls or aggravation. And
And you
this
can
is
negotiate that however you want, right? It doesn't have to be 12. You could give them 14 years. So the return is 8 or 9%, and you still collect 6 years, right? I mean,
exactly.
you can negotiate that. Yeah.
I kind of teach it like this. It's your chalk and your chalkboard. But this blueprint that I'm showing you today is a common achievable blueprint. So it's not one of these things that we're showing you how to do something that some slick guy came on a webinar and said you could do it. And in reality, you'll never pull it off. Like it's
Right.
not that,
Right.
right? So you strip off and you sell the payments. Then this guy gives Martha 139,000, and Martha then is $1,000 investment in that cash flow. And I can tell you that we have done this, lived through all of the things that can happen down the road. And today, and we're in our 60s, By the way, we've never taken any money out of our retirement account. Now, Martha's got this crazy idea, Greg, that we're just going to build all this money up in a Roth IRA account and maybe our kids inherit it. I'm telling her we're going to blow it all, but we haven't started yet. So that whole map hasn't happened yet. But
Yeah,
by
it's
the
coming.
way, our kids are now very responsible adults and they are applying these same concepts down the road. So they've been good stewards and they definitely have learned this. This is the best way to get your family involved in understanding investment. I can tell you that I've trained so many students that now have their kids that now got involved in something that they were doing because they get this math.
Yeah,
So the idea here is there's a start, and this is kind of what this is about today. Like, how do you start? Like, how do you just plant the first seed? And what would that look like? And so then we want to give you a start, and then we want to be able to help you down the road with some momentum and how to go do this, not just a concept, but execution of doing it. And then the momentum leads to a predictable income source, predictable money. And this is This is a family story that I could put 100 slides up here. I could put 300 slides up here and tell this family story. I started out with this gentleman, Jay Redding, was full-time real estate investor. He started selling his rentals. He started buying notes. He comes in and he's the father-in-law, right? Then all of a sudden he brings his son-in-law in, and now his son-in-law has gotten in. And so once again, we have just seen this story over and over and over that they get involved because it makes sense to them, right? You think about in a little quick little 30-minute training here, we've shown you some pretty creative math, right? I mean, and once again, it takes a little repetition. You're not going to just see it one time and absolutely go fire on it and do it, but it starts showing you how quickly that somebody can just fill in a puzzle piece that you didn't see, and now all of a sudden you can see a bigger picture. So this is Doug Faust, and he's the CEO of a hospital, right? So he's got, I guess, hundreds of doctors that work for him. Apparently, that's like a thing, Greg. That takes a special tolerance. So he has said, I'm not looking for a rental portfolio, right? I got a family of four, and I don't want to. I got all these buddies that spend their weekend working on houses, and that's not what I want. And so he took that deal and he bought 9 notes and he has $7,000 in income. And quite honestly, he's looking for an exit. But he's not in a hurry to do an exit because he likes where he's at, but he just says, I want to give myself options. He said, for me, I'll take the 1,000 notes or the 55 rentals as far as time. And I think that's a truth with a lot of people. So this is a strategic opportunity. I entered this business in 1980, and many of you weren't around back then, but some of you were, but everybody can Google it. Let me tell you, 1980 was some rough times, right? And the reason it was rough times is because of inflation. That real estate math that had worked was not working. People had to reinvent themselves. Well, you know what? Current market conditions say there is a possibility to reinvent yourself today, to look at things differently, right? So there's a window of opportunity right now. And I will tell you that we've looked into this industry for the next 3 to 5 years. And Greg, based on some things that you and I have had deeper conversations about, right? I can say with 1,000% integrity that I think the next 3 to 5 years in this business are going to be the best that the industry has ever seen, ever. And part of it is technology, part of it is modern day ways of doing the business that weren't available to us, even 5 years ago. And so we're trying to be on the cutting edge of that and working at that. So there's a timing advantage, right? Sometimes it's a good time to start something, right? And I believe that market timing is good to us. So who is this for? It's for beginners. It's for frustrated landlords. It's for busy professionals. It's for retirees. It's for anyone tired of trading money for time, right? And you could take any one of the people in this picture or do a bigger picture of a wide variety of people. This is, listen, You cannot believe some of the most seasoned real estate investors in the country, many of which Greg and I know very, very well, that have transitioned into notes because of a different economy. And I have clients that we're in the process of doing it with literally right now, that we just see this all the time. So I think that's a little bit of how I get an audience today is people are saying you have to think a little differently. And we're just because something always worked, wait, or worked in a period of time doesn't mean it always worked, right? And so here's kind of the next step. And if you have money in some way, shape, or form, and I'm trying to say you can have 140,000 or less, then what we want to do is to give you a path. And this is a training that we're going to give you. We're not trying to sell you something today, but it's a training. And let me say something. If you register for this training, like it's not like you don't come up with a good idea and not act on the things it takes to implement the good idea a little bit. Otherwise, it's just a good idea that leaves your imagination. And so this is a step that we want to give you the opportunity. If you like what we're doing, we want to be able to progress you to it. And so this will be a training that's next week. And it's pretty easy. It's QR code. You know how it works. You kind of hold your phone up like you do to get the
Next week or tomorrow? Looks like it's tomorrow.
um, you know what? It is tomorrow. I'm sorry. I was I'm mistaken. It is tomorrow. So there's the QR code and register no matter what. If I want you to come live because we're going to have a lot of engagement and Q&A in this, so it's a very engaging training. But no matter what, you can just go to register with noteschool.com at /horizon. And by the way, I wanted to make sure that you guys had this too. In case you are looking for an account with Horizon, then we want to honor them and respect them and say, reach out to Greg's team. You can schedule something and have an opportunity to go maybe add an account or talk about what you're doing or whatever that looks like for you. If you're not where you need to be exactly with your accounts with Horizon, then make sure that you know how to contact them as well. So
Well, Eddie, lots of questions here, so we can leave the slide up here for another minute or two while we cover some questions. But first, the immediate question that I have, I'm not looking at any of the questions here yet, and I'll have Claudia come on. Is well, okay, this sounds good. Uh, I want to invest in notes. How do I find my notes? Is that something you teach? How to find the notes? Is that what you do at Note School?
I do. There are a number of platforms that sell notes, and what we teach is a very good proven system of a risk management blueprint to lay over the top of notes that you're going to see out there in the market. So there's not every note is not the right note to buy, but there is a process to learn how to vet the right note. We are the most active buyer of portfolios of seller finance notes in the marketplace today. So we have a marketplace that we've built to help people go do this if they progress down the road with us, or if they don't, hey Eddie, I don't need your note buying team, I'll go out and chase my own. We're totally good with it either way, right?
Okay. And
And
and oh, go ahead.
finding the right notes and evaluating the right things in the notes to make sure it's a good deal, that's the best number one, two step you can have.
For sure. And so, and like the example you gave, are you seeing, you gave an example of a $160,000 note. Martha comes in and buys for 140. I mean, if someone's selling a note at a discount, I assume, is it fair to, excuse me, to assume that the note has some issues? Is that why they're selling at a
No,
discount, or why would
no,
they
it's
be,
just
why would they sell it at
it's
a
a
discount?
market. No, it's a market condition, and the average yield that students buy notes from us in our marketplace today is about 10.5% yield. So it's a low double digit yield in most cases. Sometimes it's a high double digit, a single digit. But everything we're doing is like real stuff that we can like show you hundreds of case studies. Like Martha's deal is not abnormal, it is normal.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, look, let's again, Claudia, why don't you come on as well, and let's go through some question answer. Eddie, thank you, by the way. I know if we had a lot longer time, there's more to go, but I think this is perfect actually for those that want to dive deep into the how-tos. Eddie's offering the class here, and so reach out to us. Obviously, if you don't have an IRA yet, we'd love to help you. It could. Obviously our message is investing in asset classes, especially like this one. I mean, doing the math, I think one of the questions, I saw earlier is like you have $1,000 in your Roth and you're collecting, $1,400 a month. Even if it starts, down the road, it's $1,000 investment. Now, obviously there's other things you got to do here. It sounds like you got to have someone else to buy the other part of the note. But it's very interesting. A lot of people ask me all the time, like, how do I make more money in my retirement account, avoid paying taxes, and I only have you fill in the blank, 10,000 or $50,000. And it sounds like there's some solutions on how you can actually really exponentially grow
There's
your
some
Roth.
work and process involved in accelerating it, like the example that I showed. NoteSchool is 25 years old, and we've heard most questions and concerns about doing it, and we've built a lot of process to accelerate how our students can do it. So as they progress down the road in NoteSchool, we've built some efficiencies that are they're everything we're teaching is doable because I promise you, my wife has done it. Right. But the reality is if you can make it easier and more convenient and a little done for you in the middle of it, it also it just it's an easier pill to swallow.
Well, great. Well, look, Claudia's on with us now. Welcome, Claudia. Claudia, a lot of you know Claudia. She helps onboard all of our new business affiliates and oversees new business. So thanks, Claudia, for being here. And an expert in this space too. I'd say you've been doing this long enough. So, and you've also filled in for some of these webinars and done a great job. So thanks for being here, Claudia. What's do you want to help us kind of guide us through some of these question answers these last 5 or 10 minutes we've got?
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody is asking if they have work at the time of the appointment, what now? Is there
Now,
another alternative that they can join for the special class?
yeah. So if they join, if they register and register with us, then specifically what that's going to enable them to do is that we're going to be able to send them, we're going to get them rescheduled. If they
Okay.
don't join, then I can't get them rescheduled. But we're going to be hypersensitive to know that you can think of any time under the sun and somebody will have a conflict, right? So we're trying to
Hmm.
go be as immediate as we can to help people move to the next step. But at the same time, for people that have a work situation or whatever, then we will get you rescheduled. So the key thing is to please initially just register and we'll get you to the right event.
Right.
Sounds great. George is asking, what is the minimum you need to get started with your IRA, with your SDIRA?
Well, my wife started out with a really low amount of money with our kids. So we started out with about $2,000 per kid. My mother died when she was 90 years old.
Mm.
And my mother died with 40,000 bucks in the bank. And now I'm the youngest of six kids. So, and so my sister lived near my mom and she was the executrix of my mom's estate. And so she sends us 6,500 bucks or whatever it was, right? And you're sitting there looking at $6,500 that your 90-year-old school teacher mom,
Mhm.
like that's a statement. Like, how in the world do you live to be 90 years old and still have that level of money in the bank? And so, the last thing you'd want to do is go just buy some shiny object with it. And so I said, my mother's seed money will be seed money that my kids will benefit from when they're gray haired. And that was a very deliberate thing that we did. So our kids started out with 2,000 bucks a piece.
That's that's a
'Cause-
great story. And for somebody that's transferring funds, Greg, what would you say would be the minimum?
Yeah, look, I recommend if you're starting from from the beginning stages in retirement account, getting your account transferred over. If you got $5,000 or more, get your account set up. Now, I don't, and you could disagree here, but ideally, I don't think our accounts are set up for someone who's going to start from scratch putting $100 a month away. I think
Yeah.
start somewhere else,
Yeah.
get $5,000 or $6,000, put away in your Roth account, transfer it over and do your first deal, whatever that deal may be. It could be Bitcoin for all I care, or it
Yeah.
could be notes or syndication. But having some small, but like the biggest thing we always talk about is the importance of execution, implementation now. And there's so many people. I mean, I can't tell you people that I've met that say, I'll do it when I have X. I'll do it when I have 100,000. Well, guess what? The way to get to 100,000 is get an account going, grind it out, turn that 5,000 into 10. There's different things that you can be doing. And that's what I learned. I'm in the same boat as Eddie. I've got, I got kids that are using their Roth IRAs now that are doubling down. And they started with, my son started with 5 or 6,000 as Roth, and I don't know what it is now. But I know it's a lot more than that over the last 2 years. And so start, get it going. And even if it's, when you're going to transfer funds, that's the other thing. There's so many people I listen to have old 401ks and you have no idea what's even in it. You're like, I don't know. Maybe he's got 30,000 or 50,000. Guess what? Just the way you reacted to that is exactly how your financial advisor and that's reacting to it. I don't know. I don't even know who this person is, but it's part of my 401k book of business. Oh, you care most about your money, so you should take action on your money.
I love that. Vernon is asking, so do you have to wait 12 years to start collecting?
You do. I'm gonna. There's math that I didn't get into. Greg has seen me do this, but a lot of these loans pay off early, and you end up with a lump sum of cash. So $1,000 theoretically might turn into 50,000. If it paid off in 6 or 7 years. So there's a mathematical process that you go through if a loan pays off early. Most loans are going to pay off before 12 years, but it's not going to, trust me, you're going to figure out really quickly, in this scenario, a payoff is not, it's your friend, right?
Yeah.
It is not your enemy. So it could be very lucrative if it paid off early.
Perfect. And what is the minimum investment for this type of investment?
I've been told by more than one tax attorney that you have to have a legitimate investment. Conceptually, they used to say years ago, Greg, you could do this with $100, but most people that have advised me really about $1,000 is kind of the minimum you could call an investment. And so we've done this and we've done it for less money than that. But I think, from what we've advised, we think this is responsible teaching to say at least $1,000 per asset.
Perfect. Well, I don't see any other questions on here unless you guys have anything else to ask. We have about 5 minutes. So I want Greg and Eddie to have some time to wrap up our webinar, but those were the questions that we had today.
Awesome.
Yeah, a couple final notes, I guess, for me, and I'll let Eddie have the last word here. But look, thank you. Notes, Eddie is a wealth of knowledge. And so if interested, absolutely follow him or connect with me and just reach out to my team saying, hey, I'd like to get with Eddie. We will connect you. It's really all about giving. We want to give as much education and time and energy as possible. So you then can take that and make decisions on behalf of your retirement account. So again, if you have a retirement account and you want to get started, reach out to us. Or if you're already doing the notes, I saw a couple people here that know you, Eddie. I don't know if that means that they're on because they know your name and they want to hear you. But if that's the case, either way, if you're already doing notes but not doing it inside a Roth IRA, you should absolutely look at doing that as well. So appreciate you being here with today. And Eddie, why don't you take the last few words here?
Well, I would say, I think you said it, Greg, and that is to take action. I started in this business at 20 years old, and I, you know, I was looking for something different. It's usually something in life makes it. My wife and I were in our 40s, and we're very good note investors and had a portfolio of notes and all that good stuff. But we hadn't done with our retirement account what we should have. And when so our realization was is we had this money, and all of a sudden we weren't investing with our retirement money like we were investing in our personal investments. And it was just kind of we said, when do you start? And then they say, when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. What's the second best time to plant a tree? Today,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And it was that for us. And then all of a sudden, it's become a story that has become a little contagious. Martha has done this and really, is an inspiration to people. Martha is crazy knowledgeable, but she's not involved in day-to-day operations of NoteSchool or Colonial. She helps NoteSchool when we ask her to help teach sometimes. So she does a little teaching, but she's just telling about a real story that she did because her heart was for legacy. And so I think a lot of people say, I would like to do it, I just don't know how to do it. And I
Yeah.
think that's what we're trying to leave you with is there is a path, and this is a doable path. And so if we can serve you guys, we'd love it. We're crazy grateful to Horizon. You guys are world-class shop. We know that. We're so grateful to be asked to come participate and teach to your audience. And so I'm going to leave here with the last words of grateful.
Love it. All right. Everyone, have a great rest of your week. Thanks for spending time with us today. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Claudia.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. There's lots more great content for you to learn and enjoy and apply to. And so anyways, click on the link below and listen to more videos or set an appointment with us. We look forward to hearing from you and also helping you.